Members of one Victorian brigade at the centre of the bushfires, with the trauma of Black Saturday still raw, have told 7:30 they've been abandoned in the fire's aftermath by the very organisation they served so bravely on the day. They say they can now scarcely man their trucks when there's a house fire or even a car accident. They're concerned the Royal Commission's recommendations will count for little unless there's change at the top. Jane Cowan reports from Victoria on a potential crisis within the CFA's volunteer workforce.
It's a cold winter's night in what was the fire zone, but even the chill hasn't stopped the fires entirely. 6 months after Black Saturday, the Kinglake Brigade is struggling, hardly able to muster enough of a crew to get the truck out of the shed.
We're lucky if we get through. The fire brigade community is, we're tired, you know, and we've still got a responsibility to turn out.
Look at the pager and you just think, I don't want to go. I never thought after 30 odd years in this brigade that that would ever happen, but it's like we've just switched off.
To the firefighters of Kinglake, Black Saturday was a battle fought in their own neighbourhood, and they are the returned soldiers.
When it got black, and we knew that was it, I was convinced. I said to Carol at one stage, that's it, we're dead.
Actually had no idea where she was or the kids were going to be alive when we came back home. We said our goodbyes to each other.
When we got back up here on the mountain, it was like a war zone. Just, you know, burning out cars everywhere, the lines down, houses down.
In the days after the fires that killed more than 40 of their friends, members of the brigade were celebrated as heroes. But since then, they've been left to their own devices, and often their own despair.
I've got my private face and my public face. When we go out, I try to be positive and strong for everyone. But then you get home and it's like, okay, who's there for me?
Rodney Elwes is one of more than 14 firefighters in Kinglake whose own homes burnt to the ground while they were on the trucks. After some initial counselling offered through the CFA, he's been left to muddle through alone, hoping for more good days than bad.
Feel that I let the township down because we did what we were told. We went down and we tried to stop it, but we weren't on the mountain to help alone. It's a real guilt thing I've got. That's why I sort of probably haven't been back to the shed, just didn't feel that guilt.
It all sounds very familiar to veterans of Ash Wednesday like John Peacock.
I have seen specific instances of people that in those earlier fires didn't say much, but now they are coming out and saying that we have been traumatised all that time. There should be some part of the authority looking at those people, or for the indicators that is happening.
This close-knit brigade is finding comfort within its own ranks, but members feel abandoned by the CFA.
I put my whole in to fighting those fires. I was on the truck for a month, others were on for 2 months. I have had a computer-generated letter which others got. That's it.
It's depressing. You know, it's like, oh, well, you've done the job, it's over, let's just wait for the next one, sort of thing, and they will be there for 5 minutes for you. And yeah, I don't know. I would have thought they would have supported us a lot better, you know. Just making sure we're all still okay, you know, just come up and see us on a Sunday when we're all here.
There's an enormous amount of support going into Kinglake Kinglake Brigade itself, and I'm not telling you that's not happening, but I'd be surprised if that was within the amount of support. Everything from shower blocks booked next to their stations, full-time people in their support, counselling, welfare. There's been an enormous amount of support.
So you're right to pick up the kids tomorrow?
We had a lady come up to talk to us, and she's looked around our place, and because we're in our home and we settled down, the kids seem happy. Well, as far as she's concerned, we're right and we don't really need any help.
The simple things mean much more than they used to for firefighter Steve Nash.
Is a Huggles.
Excellent, mate. Is this a Huggles, is it?
If it wasn't for a punctured tyre on his fire truck that gave him a few moments to call home and tell his family to get out, he'd be mourning more than the loss of his house. He's speaking out for the first time, one of increasing numbers of firefighters unable to contain their cynicism at the CFA's public support of volunteers.
I don't think they really think too much about their members that are in the fire-affected zones and stuff like that. They seem to be more worried about what's going on behind the scenes at the Royal Commission.
So you, as a firefighter, not just a member of the community, feel let down by the management?
Oh, definitely, yep, big time, yep. I think they're ridiculous. They're a joke.
I am aware that volunteers are having a hard time, and I am aware that there will be individuals out there that feel that we haven't given enough support.
There's an undeniable loss of confidence in the CFA under the leadership of Fire Chief Russell Rees, in the wake of an embarrassing array of failures uncovered at the Royal Commission.
I don't want to call them failures because people were trying, and failure sort of means that they omitted deliberately, but there were some breakdowns in the communication.
A lot of people are disappointed in stuff like that, of what's being said and how they're backing each other up, and yeah, it's taken a hit on the morale of a lot of our members.
Adding salt to the wounds is the Victorian Premier John Brumby's unbridled support for the Fire Chief.
I don't believe we could have asked for more from Russell Rees, from the leadership team.
For the Premier to back him up and stuff like that, well, that's just giving me no confidence in our Premier either. There's a lot of members up here. I know there's a lot of members statewide in all fire affected areas and statewide that just can't believe all the stuff that they're coming out and saying.
The Premier and the Fire Chief have been spooking the CFA at every turn in an effort to stem an exodus of volunteers. Lawyers representing Victorian government agencies, including the CFA, have urged the Bushfires Royal Commission not to make any findings that could discourage volunteers. But it's not the Commission or its probing of what went wrong that's upsetting Steve Nash.
I think the Royal Commission and the people that are on there are just trying to find out how we can stop this and how we can fix it in the future, where all Russell Rees and Brumby seem to be doing is just finger pointing and trying to pass it back off to somebody else.
What confidence do you have that the CFA management has what it takes to make the changes that are needed?
None. I've got no confidence in them at all.
To be sure, the Fire Chief has his supporters, among them the former captain of the Kinglake Brigade, Paul Hendry.
Still reckon Russell's the bloke, and I reckon he can do it. He's got a lot on his plate. I think he's been hammered a fair bit, and a lot of people might say, well, you know, quite rightly so. But I'm sure he'll take on board whatever comes out of the commission, and he'll get it done. He's a bloke that does get things done.
Behind the scenes, there's speculation that the CFA Chief Russell Rees will quietly opt to leave of his own accord, possibly after one more fire season. Does the CFA need a change of leader to get a fresh start?
Well, again, I've made my views clear. I've been asked about them. I've been consistent about that. So that's the view I've got. Obviously, we'll see what the Royal Commission says.
Do you reserve the right to withdraw your support for Russell Rees in the future?
I'm not getting into hypotheticals.
The Black Saturday disaster has brought deep-seated dysfunction to the fore, but initial hopes that the Royal Commission would provide the impetus for change are giving way to years, the status quo is supported by vested interests too powerful to shift. If things don't change, there's a real risk the CFA will alienate its most precious resource, only 3 months before what's predicted to be another horror fire season.
I know a lot of other members from other brigades that just think, well, what the point was, just what are we doing here?
You know, where's everybody in have no one?
Joan Cowan with that report.